You look at the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar now, who is the PDP candidate, placing him side by side with President Buhari. People are already getting very excited at how the elections are going to turn out. How much of a chance do you think he stands?
I'm very much excited about the outcome of the primaries, and I think it stands a very good chance because, excuse me, in the 2015 elections, the issue with Nigeria was security, was corruption, and economy. But now we're talking about economy and unemployment. So we need jobs. And Atiku, given his past and given his experience over the years, is someone who is very strong on the economy and is also strong about creating jobs because he's an employer of labor himself. And whilst he was the vice president, he was the chairman of the National Economic Council, and most of the eggheads in Obasanjo's government, he was the one that headhunted them. His campaign are usually issue-based. In the last election that he contested for presidency, his manifesto was well-researched. He had a lot of eggheads working with him. So I feel he stands a far better chance than President Muhammadu Buhari in this election. But since he's an opposition candidate, he needs to work harder than President Muhammadu Buhari.
And the corruption toga still hangs over his head, whether we like it or not.
I don't want to believe the corruption toga hangs over his head. And why I say this is this government has a lot of resources. If there's any corruption toga over his head, they will have invited him to EFCC. As far as I know, he has never been arraigned before any court of law, not to talk of conviction. We know some top politicians who are currently in court over one corruption allegation or the other. So people can say whatever they like. It's politics. They say all sorts. So I don't see any corruption toga hanging over his head. If you have a case against him, go to EFCC. And we know the way EFCC is working these days, they invite all opposition politicians. If they had the debt on him, they will have invited him and arraigned him to court. So I feel it's the best chance we have to redirect Nigeria to the path of progress.
But as much as the two-way race would be interesting, there's still a lot of other candidates, whether we like it or not. The SDP, which is becoming a strong third force in the race now, had their own primaries as well. Former Governor Donald Duke emerged, beating former Minister Jerry Gana to the ticket. We have still Kingsley Moghalu in the race. Yele Sowore also got his ticket as well. So many of them are in the race, but here not Bieze Kwesili might also be putting her bag in the fight as well. What are your thoughts on I don't want to call them the other candidates per se, but I mean, because I think the SDP is quite formidable. They have a couple of very strong politicians in their platform, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it's so inspiring the way I want to look at it that in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has brought this phenomenon, or has demystified this phenomenon that a sitting president cannot be removed or cannot be defeated in an election. So the fact that he has done it, I believe, is an inspiration to those that are coming behind, that has that belief that, well, we can challenge this man and beat him. So that is the beauty of democracy. Let everybody come with their various ideas. But the most important thing is that after the emergence of anybody, of any of the president, let's have this constructive mind in criticizing, in analyzing, and participating in the governance of whoever emerges. So I think it's very important that we have this multifaceted aspirants gunning for the same office. Very good people, brilliant people. So let them come with their various ideas. Let them talk to the electorate. At the end of the day, the masses are going to be the judge.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be, I don't know, I don't want to call it an upset, but how strong do you think the third forces are? The SDP, many say even former President Obasanjo might even have a stake in that. We have a lot of former ministers who are there, former governors. So they do have some sort of resources, both human and material, don't they?
Yes, they do. But from my own perspective is, I don't think we need any third force in Nigeria at this moment. And why I say so is, before President Muhammadu Buhari could successfully defeat President Goodluck Jonathan, all the key opposition figures had to come together. And given what we just saw in the Osun State governorship election, it shows that if we want to have any proper contest nationally, we just need two strong parties, which are APC and PDP. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel that all these third force, they are not going to pull any weight. If anything, they are going to spoil the chances of both major parties. So I think what is best is...
Who stands to lose the most, do you think?
Well,
from a third force?
From a third force, I think PDP stands to lose more if a third force is allowed to exist, and which is why I'm aware PDP has a coalition of about 30-something parties. They signed an agreement sometime earlier in the year. So I feel that if we really want to change the government in the country at this moment, we need to, the third force need to merge with PDP, because Donald Duke is a very strong candidate. He's a fine gentleman. I like him so much, and I feel that he will pull some weight in Cross River and in South-South. So if those votes goes to Atiku, it will be good because the way elections are going in Nigeria, they're going to be keenly contested. keenly contest. So every vote matters. So I believe that PDP will still reach out to the so-called third force, and eventually we won't have any third force when we go to the ballot next year.
Should we be looking forward to debates, you think? Do you think Mr. President is going to come out for one this time? Is this something you think would happen?
Well, I don't think it's an issue on whether he's going to come out or not. I think it depends on what you sell and how you sell it to the masses. Eventually, if you emerge as a president, your manifesto speaks for you. But, you know, it's just very healthy that we have people come out before the people and, you know, talk to each other. And, you know, but the most important thing is selling your ideas. This government, from what I've seen so far, I think President Muhammadu Buhari or whoever or his representative should be able to come out because they have a lot to say on infrastructural development, roads, and many other things that have been achieved. I'm not saying this because of this government, but in comparison with what we have witnessed so far, it's only in this government that, at least from my experience, my little experience in governance in Nigeria, in this country, that we've seen government allocate money, and they state how much was allocated, they state time for completion of project, which is very much available for civil society, especially, to go and monitor. We heard about the Sukuk fund, 100 billion naira, about 17 billion
so
political zone.
So
it's open.
Still back to my point, is this something you think should happen?
Yes.
The debate, because you said representative there, and I've heard some members of the APC say, oh, maybe the vice president might do the debates instead of the president. Why can't we hear from the president?
No, it's okay. Nobody has said the president won't come out to debate or is not going to debate. But I think the most important thing is if the people like what they've seen or they hear from whoever, whether him or his representative, I think that's the key word. Do
you think debates are important? Do you think they're going to make a difference?
Debates are extremely important. Aside from being important, communication is very important. In the Osun election, SDP had over 100,000 votes, and I'm sure a large percentage of that vote came from people who watched the performance of the governor of their candidate in the debate. So debates help, and whether the president will participate in this debate or not is something that we can foretell. And why I say this is because if you look at the history of this president, in the course of his campaign, did he engage with Nigerians? I think the answer is no. Now, does he engage with Nigerians? I think the answer is no. President Donald Trump engages with Americans on a regular basis. The press corps are usually asking questions. I can't recall the last time I read an interview from the president. All we see is press release from his aides. So I think debates are important. We need to know what the capacity of our president. And debates will help us to determine the intellectual capacity of whoever wants to govern us.
He participated in debates in 2011 anyway.
We're gonna, but this is 2019 we're talking about now. But thank you very much for being here today. We'll continue this conversation. We'll have our candidates now.
Yes.
So political season is in full swing.
Yes.
Please don't go away. We'll be right back.